And I asked myself, did I do what I could have done that day to make sure that I took care of the people that depend on me?
Oh my goodness, what a great day, guys. Thank you for being here with the community at eXp Realty, the best real estate brokerage ever in existence. I am so very excited you guys are here today. We've got some amazing things to cover, and this is going to be a super high energy session. I love it. We've got Jason Giles in the house. He's going to be emceeing for us today. Always love when Jason's in the house because it always gets fun and funny up in here, and I love that. What we're going to be covering today is all of the different resources available to you inside this crazy thing called the community. What's the community? We're going to cover that today. It's going to be really exciting. Let's bring up Jason Giles onto stage here. I'm going to let you introduce all of your amazing guests for the day because I know you got a lot going on. But for anyone who doesn't know, Jason's an awesome powerhouse agent out on the West Coast in Oregon, Albany area, and he's just killing it. He and his wife, they run a great team. They're really smart and great coaches, but in addition, they've got that servant's heart. And Jason especially wants to be here today to share a lot with a lot of people. So thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate you.
Jeff, I appreciate you letting me be a part of doing this. And you always build me up. And I just we can end the CORE90 right now. And I think we did great. You know what I mean? So, I'm gonna introduce everybody. Okay, I'll say this real quick because it's kind of funny. I see Joanne laughing there. Her and I, we were on another Zoom together last week, and we both were about to say a joke to each other. We realized that we weren't on the same Zoom we're on every week, so we both held back. It was kind of funny. But I wanted to get on here because I wanted to. I feel like this community has a lot to offer for new agents, for seasoned agents. It doesn't matter where you're at in your business. There's always something you can get from the community, from EXP. We've called EXP our home now for about 5 years, and we consistently look into other brokerages. We look to see what's out there, and we just realized that not just with EXP, but also having this added layer of the community and the resources it has for everybody. It's just a no-brainer that this is our home. This is where we're at. I've got a few guests that are here. Another one's going to be showing up later. I'm grateful for you guys to come in here and share with us what you feel about the community, what it's done for you and your business, whether you've been a short time or you've been here a long time. So it's pretty exciting. But I kind of want to just give a little bit of background about me. A lot of you here know me, but my background is, I was a dealer in a casino for about 5 years. I enjoyed doing that. Dealt poker, blackjack, craps, all of that stuff. A lot of fun. Then I was a foreman for a painting company for about 6 years. I worked at In-N-Out Burger for about 6 years, made it into management. Great place to work. Taught me a lot about just learning each level as you go, making sure you know what you're doing. So when you become a leader, you can look back and say that you've done those things to get where you're at. And that's kind of what I found here with the community is that there's all these leaders that are in here that have been through the ups and downs of real estate. And this is our chance to learn from these leaders. I'm excited to be a part of it, to have less downs and more ups, and I think a lot of it really just comes back to the basics. So a lot of you on here know, and I shared this photo with Jeff before I got on, my why is my family. That's why I do what I do. When I wake up, that's the first thing I think about. When I go to bed at night, that's the last thing I think about. And I asked myself, did I do what I could have done that day to make sure that I took care of the people that depend on me? So it was really hard because my wife and I, we have a large family. We've got 9 children between the two of us. We're a blended family. We've got 8 boys, and then we have a little baby girl. So we tried to get them all together to take a family picture, and we couldn't get them all together. So I hired a very, very expensive, I don't want to tell my wife how much it was, a very expensive artist to draw up a picture of my family so I can share with you guys my family and what that why is. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Awesome. Do it.
All right, here we go. So that right there is the portrait that I paid for my family. It was very expensive. So I hope that you guys can see the vision I have now. This little one down here at the end, she's the little baby girl. Hair's a little messed up. That's because I probably did it that day. So all fun aside, this is my why. This is what
Jason,
I do.
Wait a minute. Is that Jen on the left?
Yeah, she told me not to post this picture. She was working on her hair that day, but I figured I wanted everybody to meet my family. So here we go. And I can't find a minivan big enough to put this picture on the back of, else I drive a minivan. So with all jokes aside, I want to jump in right now, and I want to introduce three of the guests that were able to make it so far. We have Raymond Coburn. He's out of Southern Oregon, correct? We have Tristan, who's out of Florida, and we have Alex, who is in the Salem area. So I'm going to kind of go, one at a time here, guys, and really we'll just get an introduction of who you are, what your background is, and what brought you into real estate. So Raymond, if we want to start off with you, that'd be great. Let us know a little bit about you and what brought you into to commercial or to residential real estate.
My wife, she, she got me into wholesaling nationwide. At first I started watching I went to YouTube University, of course, like a lot of wholesalers, learned what I needed to learn there, and got into some mastermind classes. We actually paid quite a few $1,000s into some mastermind classes. Just to name a few, like Pace Morby, and there was a couple other ones too, Jerry Norton and stuff like that. So I learned a lot from them, going from nationwide residentials. Like I was doing it remotely. I was here in Southern Oregon, calling up Tampa Bay, Florida, trying to sign contracts over there and making the contracts assignable and learning a lot about the contracts, and then kind of getting into some tough situations sometimes. And it was never a good feeling. It was never a good feeling. So I told my wife, I said, I got to either figure out if I'm going to stay in this or if I'm going to try to go a different route, because maybe real estate's just not for me. And I had this crazy inclination that I needed to just get my real estate license. So at the end of 2022, we actually wholesaled our first fourplex investment to ourselves. We invested in our first fourplex, and we renovated that. And then we got into the beginning of 2023, I started my journey in my studies for real estate licensures. And so towards the end of 2023, got my license, got approved, everything went good. And then I went around maybe about 5 or 6 brokerages in the area. And what I really needed was, we had, a 2-page document that would basically help us buy and close the deals. It was the signing or the agreement to sell the property to us on an assignable contract, and then relist that or resell that to an actual cash buyer. And so getting into real estate, I had a whole bunch more forms. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? So thankfully, I went to a couple other brokerages. I sat in their classes, listened to what they were doing. And one of the brokerages says, it's okay to be sued. And I was like, what? Like, no, it's not okay. And so they're like, it's just something you're going to work over and work out if it's something that you need to. If you're in the right, you're in the right, and it's okay to be sued. And I was like, well, no, that's probably not a good idea. And that was from a principal broker from another brokerage. And they just weren't getting the volume that I saw. So I'd actually sat in a mirror and was like, hey, I'm Raymond from so-and-so brokerage. And nothing sounded better than saying I'm Raymond with EXP. It flowed a lot better, a lot smoother. And so then I called up EXP, and I think one of the first persons I talked to was Ricky Graham. And Ricky had said, well, yeah, yeah, we can go ahead and set up a time to meet. You can meet with us. And I was like, us? Okay. So he met with me the very same day. He had me come down to his office. Like, it wasn't like, oh, well, I have a time to meet with you next week. I have like a 30-minute window for you. And so I was like, well, he has time for me now. This is great. This shows that they really care about their agents. So me and my wife, we drove down to Ricky's office there. And the first one that opens up the door is Joanne Graham. And so she opens up the door and comes on out and says, hey, we're in the back. Come on in and meet with us. And she said, well, do you know how you met my husband before? And so I said, well, no, not really. She says, well, about 3 years ago, you and your wife are looking at a property over here. And he says it wasn't by chance that you guys had actually, met. And now 3 years fast forward, here we are again back with EXP. So she took me in as a mentoree and showed me all the ropes about how to get into the documents and stuff like that, which was a huge tipping point to my now 12 listings. And so with that, ever since I started with EXP in February, I believe, early February. And then I went through the whole entire training, went through the NAR, went through everything else, did all those trainings, and fresh off the island or whatever, I was like, man, I had no idea that there was all this, work to be done. And a lot of things that they didn't teach me in the CE classes. Getting those documents was not in part of that curriculum. So knowing the buyer contracts, my first, and I also own a Facebook group too, with about 250 members. And so one of the members saw that I was a previous wholesaler and gone realtor. And so they said, well, I have a daughter that's looking to buy a house. So she signed up as one of my first buyer clients, who now just closed on her first house. So she's happy to buy that house. And it was a process, and working with other lenders in the area, helping people get approved. It's been a tremendous journey. And every time that I have a question or something like that, Joanne Graham is always able to help me out on trying to answer some of those questions. So whenever sometimes I'll call her like late at night, and she'll have the answers for me. But yeah, it's been, and then also that with a mixture of the EXP world, it's been a fabulous experience being within EXP. And any other questions for me?
Well, no, that was fantastic. I just want to touch on a couple things, and then I'm going to circle back to you for some other questions on what we have. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was, you had met Ricky and Joanne 3 years prior. And, the interaction that you had with them, obviously was a great interaction, to where when you met them again, it was good to see him again. Right. So that just goes to show, whoever we're working with or whatever we're doing, you never know when that might come back around. Right. You never know when you might see that person again. And then you also said training. You got in all the trainings. And I think trainings, new agents, seasoned agents, trainings are huge. You've got to get in those. You've got to dive in, and it's just going to help you learn. And then, man, and I'm going to get back to you on this, because you and I talked about it a little bit, but 12 listings, and you've been licensed since February. I'm gonna actually go sign up for your team right now, if I can, and then I'm gonna work under you. Okay. So, but I do want to get back to that. I appreciate you sharing all that with us. So I'll get back to you on some other questions, because I want to dive deeper into what the community has done to help you do that. But I'm going to switch over real quick, and then we'll jump to Tristan. Tristan, if you want to kind of share the same thing, what you did before, what brought you here, go for it, my man.
Yep. So I'm Tristan. I'm from the South Florida area. What I did before was I was actually in sales for the past 4 years with an alarm and smart home company. And the reason why I propelled myself into getting into real estate was I was looking at my commission checks, and I was like, I'm putting in all this work. And I was like, I know I could be making better use of my time. I know I could be making way more money in another sales job, because that's essentially what real estate is. So that was the main reason why I transitioned to real estate. I started off with another brokerage. It was a pretty good start, a lucky start, nonetheless. I had gotten 3 deals in my first 2 months, but that was from all sphere of influence. And I was looking at my split, which I was at a 75-25. And after those 3 deals, I calculated everything that I've given back to them, my brokerage. All the people were nice, but I really just didn't get much of the training that I was looking for. It's like, okay, I just paid out this much for nothing. I stayed at the brokerage or whatever. I was contemplating about switching brokerages already, but I was like, I don't want to be that guy that just got into real estate and switches brokerages right away. Like, that's not a good look. And then, one day I'm at the gym, and then Jason calls me over on a cold call. I think it was 9 o'clock my time, so it was 6 a.m. his time, which he's doing that every morning. He calls me. He says, "Hey, I'm just giving calls. Like, have you thought about switching brokerages?" I'm like, "Great timing, Jason. I actually have. Like, let's set up a call today." Get on a call with Jason, go through everything. I'm like, "All right, all this sounds pretty good." He breaks down the math with how much less I would be paying out to EXP with a ton more training that I would be eventually getting. And I've only been with EXP now, I'd say probably just a little bit over a month. And in this month, I've probably learned and gone on more listings, picked up more listings, gone on more listing appointments in 1 month than I have in the past 3 months with my old brokerage. And that's more so to say, obviously, the group over here at EXP is, I mean, me and Jason talk every day. He makes sure that I'm being taken care of with training, etc. He's always on top of me. He's a good accountability partner to have. But yeah, that's just more so to say, like, it's crazy that when you are in the right environment, how much progress you can make in such little bit of time.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that. I want to touch on a couple of things that you said, and the reason why this is I think that this is going to be very valuable is because so far we have Raymond, who's been in real estate background for a while with wholesaling, but it's a completely different animal. But he's been in since February. He's diving into trainings. He's got listings. We've got you, Tristan, who's been in real estate for about 4 months. You've been with us now here at the community for about a month. And you've already gone, like you said, you've gone on more listing appointments, which we're going to get into that later on the Zoom on how you're doing that, what you're doing, the kind of accountability and kind of what the community's given to you. But, you've been on more listing appointments and signed, we have two listings signed so far. One we're working on finishing up, but in 1 month to get that done, man, that's phenomenal. There's no luck involved in that. It's, the harder I work, the luckier I get kind of thing. So I appreciate you sharing that, and then once again, I'm going to get into more detail with you of what you're doing, how you've gotten that, what the community has given to you, kind of some takeaways you've gotten in the last month, just being here with us. So appreciate that. I'm going to jump real quick over to Alex, my friend. Alex, me and you go back a couple years. I think I yell at you every day too, yell or talk, whichever one it is. But why don't you share a little bit about you, man, a little bit of background, what, how you made it here, what you're doing right now.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone. And it's always a pleasure to jump on with such great professionals in our field. And, when I first met Jason, I was in the health and wellness realm. And one of the members at the gym that I was at walked in and, we had a friendship. And she mentioned that I would probably be good in real estate. And at that time, I had no idea, I had no vision of getting into real estate. Well, fast forward a few months, COVID hit, devastated the health and wellness field, shut down all the gyms, especially here in Oregon. We were one of the states that immediately shut everything down. Well, I ended up at a lumber yard working, a job that I needed, didn't necessarily want, but I was happy to have. And I met with Jason, considering different, a different career. And we just hit it off. He was really cool, very attentive. I could tell, he has a spark that's infectious. And so those are the type of people I want to be around. Going from the health and fitness realm, running my own business, personal training. Those were a lot of skills that I still wanted to use. I still wanted that human interaction. I found out through that industry that I thrive on that. And so it seemed like a perfect fit. And it took me a little while to get licensed. But even since then, Jason never lost touch. He always reached out, always checked in on me. And it wasn't just about real estate. It's how's your family? How are your kids? At that time, I had a family court case. and a lot of stuff weighing on me, a lot of change, a lot of transition, a lot of things flying at you out of nowhere. And it's always good to have friendship. I wrote some notes here, about some talking points, but friendship is one of those things that I wrote. And so that's something that I've found within the community, mentorship, leadership, but also friendship. And so, I'm happy to be here.
Well, I appreciate that, Alex. And he didn't want to say it, but now he used to be in the health and fitness industry, and he used to be a trainer, but now he calls me up for advice. I didn't want to put him out like that, but he says, Jason, what should I have for breakfast? McDonald's. It makes it easy. But I appreciate all of you coming on here. So I kind of want to get into, and you're right, friendship, right? And I didn't realize this until Alex just said it, but I take that. I take that very serious, right? Who do we surround ourselves with? And, the people I surround myself with, I ask myself, is this somebody that I would have sit at the same table with my family, right? Because that's my biggest thing. And everybody here would sit at my table, and, I didn't realize that some of the impact I may have had. To me, I'm just calling to check up. There's no hidden agenda. How are you doing? What's going on? What can we do to help? A little bit of background with Alex is, he started on our team. He did pretty well, was able to go onto his own. And that's what he's doing now. So kind of want to jump into a couple things, and I'll kind of just round robin this as well. Tristan, I'll start off with you. Okay. So you're 4 months into real estate. And give us a breakdown of what does your Monday look like? What do you do in the morning? What do you do in the afternoon? And really his Monday looks also like his Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But what is it that you do? And then maybe explain a little bit to us why you're doing these tasks now. What led you to do those things?
Well, I'll start off with what I'm doing. So every Monday through Friday, and I'm just going to start implementing some Saturdays. I wake up at 6, go to the gym, come back, eat something healthy, get ready for the day, pray, journal, and then I'm on the dialer from 8 a.m. to 11. From 11 to 12, I'm calling FSBOs. 12 to like 3 is like my follow-up, lunch, try to learn something, write out my script and whatnot, etc. And then from around 3:30 to 7, I'm out door knocking and prospecting. And the reason I'm doing all that is because I quickly realized, thanks to Jason, is that real estate is all just the amount of people or contacts that you get a day. So I'm obviously newer, and I understand I'm going through a learning curve, and I want to shorten my learning curve as much as I can, and I want to get good at this and actually be skilled at what I'm doing. So the only way that I can do that is by just having more conversations, I feel.
That's awesome, man. And I knew the answer to that because you and I talk a lot. And Tristan, his last career that he was with, he would door knock for them. He and I have had a lot of conversations. He would door knock for them. He would go to campuses. So he was used to doing that. So to hear that he door knocks, pretty much 4 hours a day, 5 days a week sounds insane, but to him, that's what he was already doing. And that correlates. He's getting between 30 and 40 contacts a day, and that correlates to the listing appointments and the listing sign. And that was part of what I wanted to help bring to this is, some of the things that are being done that we can maybe put into our business. And I have a few of you guys on here that are showing that it's successful. When we put this work in, it happens, right? So another question for you, Tristan. So you've been getting into the community. You've talked about this before. What would be some of the biggest takeaways that you say is good for an agent or newer agents or just any agent about joining and coming into the community? What is it that you're taking away from what we're offering here?
I mean, I'd say, especially coming from another sales position, and this one is overlooked, but I'd say accountability, because I mean, it's there's going to be days where most people don't want to wake up, do the calls, go out prospecting or whatever. But it's like, I got Jason on the dialer, so I know he'll see how many calls I'm making. I'm joking, but yeah,
You weren't
just
supposed to
having
say that, Tristan. You weren't supposed to say that. We'll talk about it later.
but yeah, just having a sense of accountability. It's like, all right, and I guess I get this from my athletic background, but it's like, all right, I can, I guess, cut short on myself, but I don't want to cut short on someone that's counting on me, that talks very highly of me. I kind of take that a little bit personal. So I think the sense of accountability and the act of just like being disciplined and consistent with doing the same thing every day. Because if you do it long enough, it'll work out sooner than later.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. I'm round robin and jump in between all of you. So I wanted to jump over to
Hey, Jason,
Raymond.
hold
Go
on.
ahead.
Real
Go for it, Jeff.
quick, Tristan, because we've got you here, and now I can force your hand with some real accountability, bro. This is great. So it's May 8th, 2024. What's your goal by the end of 2024, Tristan?
My goal by the end of 2024 is 25 transactions.
Get it? Come on, you can do that, man. You've got that. We're gonna check in on that before the end of the year. All right, everyone, you heard it here.
What do we always say? We say, okay, 25, now double it, right?
Yeah,
So
baby.
now there you go. That's what you have to do. And I will
Get
call you
uncomfortable
every
to get
morning.
comfortable. Yep, I love it. Good job, man.
Right on. So Raymond, you and I had a chance to talk the other day. So kind of the same thing over to you. You have a little bit of a background with the wholesaling. So I got a chance to learn a little bit about that the other day. That's helped you in what you're doing right now in real estate. And one of the things I loved about our conversation is that, you didn't feel that, and you can correct me on this, but you just didn't feel like with the wholesaling that it was always working around the right people, I guess I would say in the nicest way. Right. And you felt like that just wasn't in your integrity, your character, and you want to make this shift over to here. But you've been able to take things that you've learned from there to be able to now help people on the retail side. So if share a little bit about kind of like what I asked Tristan there. How has the community kind of helped you keep that accountability? What is it that you're getting from the community? And then also, what are some of the things that you might want to share with us that you're doing that could possibly help us with our business as well?
So great questions. Yeah, so when I was doing wholesaling, I felt like after I'd gotten into it and I'd done a couple deals that had almost gone south, I felt like I was working on the dark side. And with my Star Wars fans out there, and May 4th just behind us briefly, it was a great eye opener to become a realtor and to be able to do stuff legally, and not have to, because when I got into being a realtor, and I was reading through the legalese of stuff. It was talking about not being able to sell properties or market properties unless you had a contract to do so, or you actually had a title to do so. So stuff like that really threw me off. And I was like, look, I have stuff that I own personally, and I don't want that taken away. And I worked very hard prior to all this. In California, I used to be a physical therapist, and I had my own practice for like 11 years. And prior to that, I was door knocking for Kirby Vacuums, door to door, where I worked my way up for 5.5 years from high school. That was my high school job into college. And I worked my way up to be a regional recruiter. So I taught people how to do sales and vacuums and stuff. I sold vacuums in Compton, chased down the sidewalks by pit bulls and stuff like that. So, I've paid my dues. But when it comes to working with EXP, every time I have questions, and I have a lot of questions, Joanne can attest for that. And so can all the people in the EXP world. But whenever I have questions, I make sure that I answer those to the best of my abilities. So that way, when as a new agent or as a newer agent, I don't come off to my clients as a newer agent. I utilize the experiences that I have of those around me to do what I need to do to best perform for my clients. And it's basically when I was doing Kirby Vacuums, I met with Robert Kiyosaki prior to him writing his Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And one of the things he said was placing yourself in the proximity of powerful people, the 4 Ps in life, and you'll be successful. So one of the things that I'd always thought was, okay, if I'm placing myself around the proximity of people, I have to, or they have to allow themselves to rub off on me so I can, mimic what they're doing to be successful. Now, as a wholesaler, when I transitioned and what I was doing as a wholesaler, I was pounding the phones, 180, 200 calls a day. And I'd get a lot of slaps in the face, well, slaps in the ear, really. But it was like it was just a lot of turn down, a lot of rejections, and it was I got used to that. And it was a long time that I started to develop a niche to be able to communicate with people and find out, what is the main purpose why they're selling their home, what's causing them to move. And as long as I was able to find out why they were moving or why they needed to sell, then I could quickly adapt myself to finding out how I can best suit their needs as a non-professional at the time, and now as a professional, to be able to suit their needs in this particular field and get their property sold. So a lot of things that I do for my clients right now is I do a lot of heavy marketing. So anytime I get a post or I get a listing, I'll heavily market it in like the Facebook ads or something like that. I'll talk about on my YouTube channel. I just recently made a podcast too, so I'll talk about the properties that I have listed on there as well too as a podcast. So it's a lot more, and I have other lenders that I work with. I have a Facebook group that I established as a wholesaler about 1.5 years ago. And there I've got about 250 members in our group that are all active. They're not like shady scammer type people. They're real people. And a lot of them are professionals, and they're lenders, loan officers, real estate attorneys and lawyers, and title company officers and stuff like that. So I mean, they communicate with me on those type of podcasts, or they'll communicate with me in those REI meetups that I have. And so as a host of those groups, I'm picking their brains, I'm learning. And so what I do now is I connect with them and let them know, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I plan to do. And then if I have a situation where one of my clients needs help, I'm contacting them directly, because in the back of my mind, it's like my grandma used to have this little book that had this little roll thing on it, and it had everybody's phone numbers, everybody's contacts, and she'd roll that thing. And in my mind, it was just having that contact of list of people that I could utilize. And at the bottom, it has a little description of a Rolodex. So somebody knows what it is. At the bottom of their name or their number, I'd have a little description on what they do or what they can offer. And so I go through my mental Rolodex, and I can pick what they offer, what they do, and how I can, direct them in that way. And that kind of keeps me organized on how I can, transition 12 listings and 3 buyer agents or clients right now. And plus hosting the YouTube channel, helping other lenders market as well too. But mainly one thing that I've noticed a lot of folks they like is I take this. Oh, wait, sorry. I take a clipboard and a piece.
We can kind of see it.
Yeah. But and so there I'm taking notes on their properties. If they say, oh, well, it's 150 by 300 feet. Okay, great. Whatever you say, I'm going to go back and verify. I'm not going to tell them I'm going to verify, because I don't want them sounding like I don't trust them. I want to trust them, but I also want to let them know that, hey, I'm attentive to what you're saying. I'm responsive, and I'm alert to what you're saying. What you say matters. And not just coming to the table acting like I know what's going on already before they even say it, and what they say doesn't matter. Having the ability to listen and care about what my clients say, I think speaks volumes to them and makes them, connect with me better on a different level. I'm not that high level professional coming on out and telling them, what I think their property's worth. I'm going to listen to them first. I ask them, I can list your property in 3 ways. And the reason why I do this is because commercial side of stuff has also taught me this as well too. I used to work with syndications as a wholesaler, so I'd put together groups of investors to purchase large multi-million-dollar properties in multi-units up to 100 units, and nationwide. So what I do is I give my clients 3 ways to buy. Either I tell them, what their property is worth, or on a commercial level, I'll tell them, what your property is generating on an income if we're to sell the business. Number 2, if we're to list your property based off of the lease of the property and the building structure, if it's generating income. Number 3, I'm going to list it whatever you tell me to list it at and see if those numbers kind of match. And we'll have a conversation around that. But I give them that opportunity. And they're like, wow, you're not just coming at me telling me what my property's worth and not giving me other options. So giving our clients options is definitely a huge win-win that I see in getting listings. Not only that, again, making sure that the commission stays negotiable, that it's never just set. And I tell them, commissions are never set, it's negotiable and always is. Now, a lot of them have been coming to me lately about the NAR lawsuit. So what I tell them is the NAR lawsuit helps me, it helps me and other agents use that 2.5 or 2% or whatever, just kind of throw a number out there, because again, that is negotiable before closing, right? So when the buyer comes, they're going to negotiate and put that in contingencies. And I tell them that, they may have a contingency where they may come back and say, I want 3% or 2.5. Okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But however, the 2.5 being out there right away, we're going to have to reword that a little bit differently coming in June, July. However, it's still going to be something that I utilize in my marketing. And what I tell my listing clients is I utilize this as a marketing to not just get the buyers, because now the buyers are going to have to pay their agents an XYZ amount, but it also helps the other agents market it for us, right? So we have a double marketing. I'm marketing it, the buyer agent's marketing it, and now the buyer's more comfortable with not having to pay at least 2.5 extra at closing. So I utilize that information, that knowledge to help negotiate. Now, when it comes to a lot of these YouTube channels where people are talking about, I'll buy your house right now, I'll close in 15 days cash and you won't have to do anything. You'll sit on a big yacht out in the Bahamas or something. They sugarcoat a lot of these deals. And as realtors, if we're not, kind of making the deal sweeter for them, willing to take on more of that duty, more of that job, and making sure that the whole entire transaction is enjoyable for them, they're more likely to list with us and work with us. And as EXP agents, I think we have that honor to being able to uphold what we stand for as realtors, and that code of ethics to be able to provide our best for our clients.
Absolutely, man. That's thank you for all of that. And I'm writing down notes as I'm on here, because like I said at the beginning, I get stuff from this too, right? Like, and I want to say I'm thankful that you said, who you surround yourself with. We've already said that. Like, you wanted to be around successful people that were going to help you grow. And I'm grateful that you said that, and I'm a part of that. Like you've decided to align with us, with Ricky and Joanne and everybody else here in the community, because you felt like that was the right people. With the right character, right integrity, that's going to help you grow. And we talk a little bit about the community, and I love that you lean on all of your resources when you're talking to your clients. It's not just, it's me, Raymond. I've been licensed since February, and I'll do my best. It's confidence. It's, hey, you know what? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to get the answer. And you have people that you can call. And it's funny how you said earlier, and I caught it, that you said everybody at EXP knows who you are because you're always calling and doing stuff. And you know what? That's the power of EXP. Get on the world. Get in there. Maybe it takes 10 minutes to talk to somebody, but you're going to talk to somebody that's going to help solve your problem. So I bring us kind of back to the community and what it offers. I love that you feel you have that support here and you have that people here. And that's one thing I want to kind of get out of this, was that we are here to help everybody grow. EXP has given us a model that is helped us be able to do what we want to do, which is help others grow in their business. So I appreciate everything, Raymond. I'm gonna jump over to Alex real quick. Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit? I know that you said you want to learn, you want to do this. And I know the last year, and I want to give you some credit. I want to give you a lot of credit, actually. You were working your tail off on circle prospecting, on your sphere, on doing everything. And there was times when you and I talked, and you're like, Jason, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's, I'm doing it. I'm doing the work. And you were putting it in. You were putting it in. You were putting it in. And then all of a sudden, you're calling me up and, hey, I've got a listing. Hey, I've got another listing. Hey, I've got a buyer that I'm going under contract. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you feel the community's helped with that, with the resources you have? And then also, what were some of those things that you were doing to generate those listings and those leads that you took to the table and you got closed?
Yeah. So again, the first thing that comes to mind is, I was trying to do things by myself. And I thought, hey, everybody else is doing it. It should be easy, but it's not. I think the phrase goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go, with others, with a group. And, that can be more true, especially in this industry. One of the biggest improvements for me recently through our open coaching has been mindset. It's been all about mindset, because like you mentioned, you put in a lot of work sometimes and you don't see returns immediately, and that could be very demoralizing, right? And it's very easy. It's a natural thing to kind of go through, but but also being around, we were talking about the proximity principle, right? Being around others that are on a high wavelength, that are operating on a high frequency, that is infectious, that elevates you. And so that's one of the biggest helps, biggest improvements for me. One of the biggest points of support that I have gotten from the community. And the accountability piece, Tristan talked about it. There's an accountability. There's also a competitive spirit, right? Everybody is trying to elevate themselves, and everybody is trying to do well. Obviously, aside from just making a living, the career, but the personal development. There's a great impact that we can have on others, but it has to start with us first. So that's been my biggest improvement recently, especially getting reconnected with the community. And, some of the things that I've been doing, I like to host open houses. I like to get out and talk to people in person. I did circle dialing for a time, and I got kind of familiar with it, but it's not the same as being in front of somebody. I'm doing it now again. Because it is one of the easiest ways, one of the best ways to get contacts and talking to folks. But I've been hosting a lot of open houses, and I took this from Jeff. Jeff challenged me, hey, if you don't have business, you have time, go out, fill your schedule, do income producing activities, right? Take massive action. These are the principles in every meeting that I show up to. These are the underlying themes, right, to our conversations. Massive action, positive mindset, the income producing activities, be a professional, elevate yourself, always learn new skills. And so I've really taken that to heart. I've been mainly talking to folks on the phone and polishing up my skills in that, because even though it's one of the easiest things to do, it's also one of the things that requires the most skill. And also getting out, doing open houses. I've been hosting open houses in the middle of the week from 12 to 6 p.m. Some people have said, well, that's kind of weird. Like, people host open houses on the weekend. And my response is, I don't care. I'm out here, I'm meeting people, I'm getting leads. And so, it's how I'm shifting from a amateur to a professional. And so that's what I'm doing.
I love that you shared that, because I was going to say that, this guy here has been doing open houses, and I said, hey, when are you doing that open house? He did one for me a couple weeks ago. Well, I'm gonna do it on Thursday between 12 and 6. And I was like, all right, I've never done a 6-hour open house, but he's like, you know what? When I'm there, I could work on my files. I can call people if it's slow, I can do it. And he's there from 12 to 6. And, because the mindset is, I've got to be doing something. I've got to be doing it. And thank you for giving some credit for what we're trying to give back here at the community. You know, one of the reasons why I feel it's so powerful and I make it into the open coaching and I make it into these core 90s and the agent attraction is because it's a lot like Bold. You know, we go to Bold for a week. We're all fired up. And what if people don't know what Bold is, I can't remember the name of the brokerage. It's kind of a small time brokerage that does it. But, you know, they do this 1 week training that costs a little under a HELOC mortgage on your home. But you go to this training and you get pumped up, you get fired up, you're going to do all these activities. And guess what? These activities are what we're talking about right here. They're talking about YouTube with Raymond over there, with Tristan going and door knocking, with Alex doing open houses. They talk about all that stuff and how we're going to rah. And I think it's great. I think it's phenomenal. The problem is that very next week, you have a great, your business is phenomenal. And then the week after, we forget how we got all that business. And it's from doing these things that we're talking about right now. I love that everybody on here, you know, that's participating with me is fairly new to real estate, because it just goes to show that the activities that we've been doing since day one in real estate are the same activities that prove fruitful today. It's talking to people. It's listening to people. It's asking questions. It's providing value. It's doing those open houses. It all comes down to making those connections. You know, so what I'm getting to is with these core 90s, when we show up every week, and I get it, sometimes we have something that comes up that we can't, you know, put it on the background on your phone and listen to what's going on. It just helps remotivate us to know that we should still continue to do what we've been doing. That's going to help us not have so many downs and have more ups. And that's the whole goal of coming to these. How can we make our business be less of a roller coaster and more of a nice cruise on the yacht that Raymond was talking about? Raymond, you kind of threw me off there because I've been telling my clients that I can sell their house in 15 days and that they'll be on a yacht. Now I guess I got to tell them I can't do that anymore. But you know, that's why we show up, guys. We show up so that we can reiterate what we need to do. We take some nuggets from this, and then we help build our business. There's only one person I'm in competition with, and that's myself. That's it. All of you guys give me great motivation. I see stuff that you're doing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get there, but I'm only going to get there if I can compete and beat who I was yesterday. Right. And that's what this is about. Collaboration. So Tristan, I'm going to jump over to you because, you know, you've been really diving in, and Alex, thank you for sharing that, brother. I appreciate it. You've been really diving in, and just kind of a little bit about, you know, a couple of you guys said already that the phones are kind of easy. I'm sure some people are saying, well, no, they're not. And I kind of want to touch on that a little bit, touch on that with you, Tristan, because you've been really hitting this dialer every morning. And I've been watching. You did 2 hours and 16 minutes on Monday. You did 2 hours and 37 minutes on Tuesday. Not that I'm counting, but I see what you're doing, right? But you've been really hitting it. So let me ask you, when you're on this dialer and you get someone that's just kind of a bad call. And you know what, guys, when we get somebody that we've called that maybe, let's just say they're rude or they're mean or whatever verbiage we want to use, just understand it's not us. We didn't do anything wrong. It was just timing. We caught them at the wrong time. I'm sure when they got off the phone, they didn't really mean that. It was the wrong time. So don't ever take it personal. But Tristan, give us a little bit of your experience with having to do this in your background with calls. How do you kind of move on from something like that to keep motivated, to keep going and finish off the rest of your day, especially with your door knocking?
Well, one, I just take into account most of the time the people that would be rude are the newer expireds, which I mean, it's kind of common sense. They're getting pounded with calls, so I don't really take it personal. It's funny. So a quick story. I actually called a new expired last week that was really rude to me over the phone. And I was going out to my area door knocking. I was like, wait, this same person is right around the corner from my area. Let me go talk to them. And I went and talked to them and, you know, got into really good conversation with them. And I said, I guess you could say they're the nicest people and coolest people ever when I was in front of them. Obviously, it's harder to be mean to someone when you're in front of them, but I mean, it's kind of common sense. Like if you're getting pounded with calls, then your natural instinct is to be mean. So that's kind of why I essentially let it go and just move on to the next. Plus, it's also an abundance mentality. It's a numbers game. Everyone says, obviously, if it's not going to be this person, it's going to be the next one. If it's not going to be the next one, that one is around the corner. But, and I mean, yeah, I guess it also shows with my experience, because I guess, like you had mentioned before, the past sales job I was doing, I was having to go door to door. And I mean, I've heard the worst of the worst, so nothing could really phase me at this point. So I know if someone's rude to me, it's really just bad timing. So just let it go.
Cool. You just kind of let it go off your shoulders and then move on to the next one. And he said this, and I'm just going to reiterate it. It is a numbers game. Getting in front of people and talking to people. And it's sometimes it's not that easy. I get it. There's days where something's happened, and I'm like, okay, I've got to, kind of regroup, take 5 minutes, and then get back at it. And then I just have things around me or pictures I look at that just kind of keep me motivated. I forgot to mention this. Raymond, I was a top Kirby salesman in San Diego for quite some time, buddy. So, I could sell 2 Kirby's in one day at the same time too. But, a lot of this comes down to, just taking the actions, getting the contact. So to you,
Something
you already have.
I also want to add that I think I got from you, but it's like we always have those jokes where the worst someone can say is no until someone says much more hurtful things than no. But it's like we shouldn't let that one encounter affect the rest of our day or determine how ineffective we'll be. So, I mean, I think to let one like bad mishap affect your whole day, maybe you never know. The next person in sales, I think you can carry your nose. If you're carrying your nose to the next call or next person you speak to, they can sense that off you. So it's like you're kind of essentially ruining your future income if you carry all that baggage over, I feel as well.
No, I'm glad that you said that because, that goes to, and once again, I love this because, you guys are newer to real estate and you guys are picking this up right away. And one of the things that I try to help agents that align directly with me and then also here in the community is just really a step-by-step of this is what is proven to be successful. This is what people have done and you're doing it and you're already picking things up that are helping, right? That you're realizing on your own. Carrying the no from the last one to the next one, you said it's going to ruin your future. And you know what? That's powerful, because people will sense that. If you need to take 5 minutes and then get on to the next call, then do that. But if you're coming off of a bad call or even a bad contact or just something that happened in life in general, and you take that to the next one, you're probably better off just taking a step back. One of the things I heard, and maybe this helps kind of put together what you're saying is don't let something that happened that took 10 minutes. If you had a bad conversation, it was a 10-minute conversation. Don't let that bad 10 minutes ruin the next 24 hours of your day. You know what I mean? Let it go. We have so much more time. The reality is sometimes when something happens and we're kind of fired up, we're the only ones who are fired up and the other person's already went on with their day, right? Just let it go. It's not personal. Since I've been hitting this dialer really hard, and I'm talking about this a little bit because these are activities that help prove to be successful, I've got some pretty vulgar text to not ever call them again. And one guy, he texted me something pretty like, don't ever call me again, XYZ. He said something pretty bad. Or he said, don't ever call me XYZ. Something really bad I don't want to say on here. I almost texted back because I like to joke. Okay, well, I won't call you that. What should I call you? But I was like, no, that's probably not the right thing to do, right? So all I did was I just blocked the number and then I took him off the dialer, So, move on from it. If you have to, find some humor in things. So Raymond, I'm gonna jump over to you. Tristan, I appreciate it. I'm gonna jump over to you, Raymond. So if you could, if someone right now came to you, I know that you just had, and you put here in the chat that you had an agent aligned with you to come over to EXP. And if you were talking one-on-one with what you know about EXP and the community here, one-on-one with an agent right now, what would be the top 1 or 2 things that you would say to them that would really help them with their business by aligning with us here at the community?
Does your brokerage hold your hand?
And that's because you make calls all the time. I actually got 3 texts right now from our PBs saying, please tell Raymond to stop calling me. I said, nope, he's going to keep calling you. Don't worry about it. But
I even show up in the EXP world with my wings and my retro glasses and everything, man. I am ready to go. Like, they say, why do you have wings? I was like, I'm flying out of here. Red Bull gives you wings, baby.
Right. So if somebody came to you, what the advice that you give them if they're a newer agent kind of looking for help is that this is a brokerage that's going to be there for you, going to kind of hold your hand and help you get, the training and the resources that you need.
Yeah, it was just, I just said, set aside your pride, stop, don't come into real estate thinking you know everything, because it's when you think you know everything, that's when you're going to find a lawsuit like thicker than the sky. I mean, like you're going to get in a lot of trouble. And with the support that I found within EXP, it had covered a lot of things on my end that I could have messed up on if I had not had the support that I had. And that's why, having the support and, having the hand holding as I cover it, it was just, it was a major support. And that knowing how to do the documents now, like the chains are broken, the leash is off, I'm going, right? Got that lock and jaw.
And I love it because even, even with agents who have been in the industry for a long time, what I get from this is that whether you're a new agent or a seasoned agent, you've got people to lean on. You've got people that are there. I've been in real estate just 9 years, and I still on and off the world, a few times a week, going in to talk to one of the principal brokers just to confirm something that I'm 99.9% sure that I know, but that's not enough for me to say yes to that client about. So, having those resources is phenomenal. And it's great because, a lot of brokerages talk about resources. The reality here is that we have dedicated employees that work in the world to help us answer questions, right? So it's a great resource. So, one last question for you before I'm gonna jump over to Alex. You said you did a lot of training. If you had to, and since you got here in February, if you had to throw out a number of hours that you feel you've been on training for real estate, how many hours do you think you've put in the last few months for training?
Oh, a lot. I mean, it's not easy. You have to have a drive, a desire to want something. And it goes back to one of my old pastors used to tell me, if you want something that you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. And that has been more real to me now as a realtor than anything ever in my life. This is an opportunity, from what I can see and from what I understand, to provide a better life for me and my family, for me and my wife, to do the things that we want to do. Eventually, we'll get there. As of right now, it's a fight uphill, right? So, it takes time to develop an empire.
That's phenomenal. Your fight is a little less harder with those 12 listings, Raymond. You're doing awesome, brother. I mean, this short of time in here. So, I brought that up real quick because, training is key. It's huge. And that's what we offer here at the community. We offer that on our community website with different training as well. So, and I know you mentioned that earlier, so I kind of want to throw that out there. I've seen that a lot when newer agents are even, anybody new in an industry. We're ready. We're like sponges. We want to learn. We want to learn. We want to learn. And I'm going to say I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of what happened. I started in the auto industry summer of 2008. Apparently, the market was crashing. I didn't know. I said, you know what? This is probably a great time to get into a commission-based career. Had I known what was going on, maybe I wouldn't have done that, right? So anyways, I got into the sales industry, and 3 months later, I had somebody that was a mentor of me that I really looked up to, that he had to take me aside. And he said, hey, Jason, I've seen this happen to a lot of people, and I see it happening to you. He said, you're great at what you do. You're natural at this. He said, but I see you start doing things that that really aren't going to be great for your career long term. Kind of going back to what one of you guys said about, we think that we know it all, right? If you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotten. And I had to really be humbled that day to look at what I was doing. And I find that, that happened to me a little bit in real estate when I started, and then I started going, and I felt like, oh, I know this. And then I realized that I had to humble myself, and I had to take myself back into trainings. I had to take myself back into the right community. And that's where, here now I'm with EXP the last 5 years, and it's the last 2 years really digging into what the community offers. And it's just kind of helped keep me on that track, where sometimes I have to remind myself that no matter how long I've been doing this, these are still the things that I have to do to grow. And one of those things is training. We've got to be doing training. I remember with Tristan, he was going to get on the dialer, and I sent him over some scripts that Jeff Richmond had supplied to us. And, I called him about an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, said, "Hey, how'd the dialer go?" And he said, "Well, actually, I'm still rehearsing and practicing this script before I get on there." I was pretty impressed. He was spending 2 hours on this script before he got on the call. So, and I kind of jump off track with stuff. So, Alex, I want to ask you the same thing. Okay, so you've been with EXP for a couple of years. You really have been diving in this last year or so with the community. If you were to meet with somebody, or if somebody was listening right now, I don't know if this is recorded. I don't know if this is going to go onto YouTube, but let's just say it's going to, right? What would you say to somebody if they were a newer agent coming to you saying, "Hey, what is it that is EXP has to offer? What does the community have to offer? What advice would you give to them? What would you share with them?"
Yeah, so I will say I've only been with EXP, so that's the only point of reference I have. And
that's all you need to be with.
And I
always
say exactly, yeah. I tell people like, "Hey, I was lucky to start with EXP, and that's all I know, right?" So, to answer your question, kind of goes back to what Raymond said about drive and desire, right? You have to want it. One thing that I notice is that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter where you're at. If you don't put in the work, right? If you don't put in the work, then you're not going to see results. But because EXP and the community do offer all of these resources, and most of them are free, they're accessible. Like you just, they're offered to you. They're just given to you. You have to really view it as an opportunity. I think Raymond, to echo Raymond's message earlier, this is an opportunity, right? You don't want to be on your deathbed looking back because you washed out of the industry thinking, "Oh, what I wish I could," I wish, that's the worst feeling ever. And so that's what drives me. That's what I would share with new agents. When you come in, you have to approach it with passion. You have to approach it with the sense of urgency too, right? Opportunities come and go, and that window, if it closes on you, that could be the last time you ever get to experience such a great opportunity. So that's what I would share. I think we're blessed that we have all of these resources, great people that are very gracious and generous with all of the information. That's one of the things that I first noticed about these groups, especially EXP. All of the agents, especially the top producing agents, they wanted to pour into people. That we have all of this information. I've never interacted with somebody within our brokerage that has not wanted to share some type of wisdom, or technique, or a basic principle with me, and that's fantastic. I've never experienced that before. It's always very competitive, very cutthroat, very scarcity mindset. But it's an opportunity. It's a great opportunity. So just tap into the resources you have, put in the work, and understand the opportunity that you have here.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Alex. And all the stuff that you're saying, all the resources that we have. It's funny, I talk to a lot of agents, and they have training, they have resources, and they're always trying to figure out what to do next. Well, get into these resources. And something that you said that hit me when I came over to EXP was I had never heard anybody with EXP that is at the top, like our Brent Goes, our Glenn Sanfords. I mean, just these types of people have never, ever, ever said anything negative that I've ever heard about other brokerages to make us look good. They've always wanted to pour in and help. And to me, that's a level of integrity that I wanted to be around. So for you to say that, everybody that you've encountered with EXP, top producers, they've always wanted to share what they have. That's the collaboration that EXP has given us with their model, is to help others grow. And I mean, that's a powerful thing to share with somebody, that, the top producing agents aren't holding their secrets back. They're willing to get on these CORE90s and share what they're doing. So that's huge for agents to be able to have that resource. So I appreciate that, brother. Tristan, I'm gonna jump over to you. So you've been with us for about a month now, and if somebody was to come to you, and I know you were with a previous broker prior to this, what is one or two things that you would share with somebody who came to you that said, "Hey, What is it that's exciting there? What would make me want to go there? What would you want to share with them?
Well, main thing would be obviously is for a new agent, you'd probably just want to learn the business and ensure how you can get as good as possible. And I feel like with EXP, like Alex was saying, they give you all the resources. And as to Raymond said, you have someone kind of holding your hand all the time, which I mean, in a business like this, you need that. You can't just be left alone, not knowing what to do because it'll just be a long and painful death in your business. And I mean, if yeah, I really feel like if I had started with EXP at the beginning of the year rather than had my 3 other months at my prior brokerage, then who knows where I would be. Yeah, I think I would be doing or having a lot more business, but I'm glad I made the switch.
Nice. Yeah. So the common theme between everybody is the collaboration that they have with who we have here at the community and with EXP. And I think that that's powerful, you know, that knowing that we have that collaboration, that people are here to help. You know, and I'm going to share with Tristan. So, you know, we said earlier, Tristan said I called him at 9 a.m. his time, 6 a.m. my time. And yes, you know, everybody, I do call agents. And here's what EXP has taught me. The agents I call the ones that I really feel, I feel every agent has a benefit to come over here. However, the brokerage that he was with, when he hits his goal this year of 25 homes, and this is the math that he and I did, this is just kind of how powerful it was. When he hits his goal this year of 25 homes, at his previous brokerage would have been just over $62,000 that would have been paid into that brokerage. You know, I know we say it's not all about money, but at the end of the day, you know, that money helps provide for the things that we need, and whether we want to give it to our family or to charity. I mean, there's a lot of that we can do with that, right? At
And
EXP,
I also think, oh, sorry to butt in, but I also think
go ahead.
in most cases even with the split at EXP, I would feel like it's well deserved. I mean, at my prior brokerage, it's all right, I'm giving X amount of money, like how you said, but what did you give me in return? Like the seesaw kind of balances only their way versus, all right, I'm giving EXP $20 to $30,000 less, but the seesaw balances it my way with everything that I'm getting from you guys, with how I'm benefiting.
Yeah, I appreciate you said that. And just to have a little bit of fun with you, he said seesaw because he's in his early 20s. So seesaw was at the parks that you would go to, right? My daughter and I do those every now and then, right? But so I'm glad that you said that because there's a value to what you pay into your brokerage. So let's not let's not take that away, right? And you see the value of what you're paying in this brokerage. But the way the math broke down for him in particular, and I, you know, if you noticed, Tristan and I, and this is one of the reasons that I'm excited that Tristan came over. We didn't say who his previous brokerage was because we're never trying to put anybody down, right? We're never trying to say anything bad. So, you know, same production here that he'll hit this year will have put $40,000 more into his pocket. That's a lot that can be done with that money, right? So when I'm calling agents and I want to help agents, I know that just at the surface, if we're talking just financially, is a financial benefit for them to come over. However, that's why I wanted to do this CORE90 because we got into some of the roots of what the three of you had to say, being newer in the industry. You guys are doing phenomenal in your production. You guys are doing great with your accountability, with your follow-up, with your daily activities. One of the big themes here was the collaboration that you have. Now, I really feel, and we've said this many times, if you want to grow, you've got to see who's around you. You know, you are going to become, you're going to become the sixth person of the 5 people that you're around. You know, so you got to really watch who you're surrounded with. So real quick, Alex, so what is one thing that you're doing right now? And we'll make this quick. I know we've got about 15 minutes left. What's one thing, and you kind of touched on it before with open houses, but what's one thing that you're doing right now that you're taking mass action in? And then give us a little bit of detail on it. So like if it's open houses, how do you do your open houses? What can we share with people here in the community that they could possibly do that's going to help them have better outcomes?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I've noticed, especially for those midweek open houses, you have to put out signs. Get the signs out there, right? People will see the open house on Zillow or whatever the internet. But I have had everybody that's come through telling me, "Oh, I saw your sign." And I had a one guy in particular. He came by. Guess he drove by around noon. Went down to the Eugene area, drove back, and my signs were still out there. And he walked in and told me, "Hey, I just stopped by. I'm also looking for a home, but I just wanted to see who was here. I wanted to shake your hand because you're out here doing the work." So if that helps anybody, you have to make yourself visible. You have to create your own platform, and putting out signs is one of the biggest things. And people see you walking, around with signs, and they'll kind of look over, and if they continue to see you repeatedly, I think that's the easiest way to market yourself. You're out there doing the work. You just smile, you wave, people start to get to know you. So that's one thing. I also have tapped into my CRM, and I started sending alerts or emails, right? Welcoming them to, or inviting them to my open house, and also sharing the call of action to share with people that they know that might be looking for a home. So it gives my open house more exposure. I've been sharing it on social media leading up to the open house, during, and then after the fact too. We'll be door knocking this week. We talked about that. Again, another opportunity. So it's not just about the 6 hours that I'm there or the 2 hours that you're there on the weekend. There is so much work that can be done around just that one event. There are so many contacts that you can generate for yourself and opportunities you can generate for yourself off of one low cost income producing activity, right? So that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been that's what I would share. Oh, the last thing I've been doing also is it gives me a really good reason to jump on the dialer and call folks. I'm inviting them. It almost kind of lowers their defenses when I say, "Hey, I'd love to invite you to my event." And that they can politely decline, but then it sets me up for, "Hey, who do you know that could potentially be looking to make a move?" So it creates opportunities. It's just so much easier to operate.
I appreciate you sharing that. And it's funny because a lot of the stuff we've talked about in open coaching and training and everything else. And one of the things that you said that I think is key that we should always be watching in our business. You said a low cost. This is a low cost activity to do. We don't need to spend $3,000, $4,000 a month for leads. Sometimes we can do very low cost stuff. So open houses, you door knock the open houses, you do social media posts, you put out signs. I love that you said make yourself visible. That's why you're there. Nobody wants to sit at an open house, especially for 6 hours with nobody coming through. So, I'm just going to dive a little bit into this. I'm going to move to Tristan, and then Raymond, I'm going to ask you the same thing. And I have my fourth special guest who was able to make it here that I do want to give him a few minutes because I know he's got a lot to share with us too. But, one of these things with open houses, it's not just the open house that is that can help generate some business for you, some clients, but it's the social media post, it's the door knocking, it's the signs, it's everything all together. So you may not pick up business from somebody who walked into the open house. However, you may have a new contact of somebody that you door knocked. So on that activity that you're doing that day, which is really a couple day activity because you want to set yourself up for a great day, you're giving yourself about 3 or 4 different lead generating activities that you're doing that most people just think it's one, which is the open house. It's more than just the one. It's the circle dialing, the door knocking, et cetera, that can help generate business for that. Thank you for sharing that, Alex. So if that's something that people are looking for low cost to do, reach out to people for open houses. People want them done. There's business there. I have a friend of mine who did an open house a week ago on an overpriced listing, picked up 2 students came in from the nearby college that didn't look like they can buy. He ended up helping these students, talk to their parents. A week and a half later, they're under contract for a cash deal at $625,000. It's out there. And don't ever judge anybody who walks into that open house. Somebody who walks in, they are potentially a client that you can have for life. So Tristan, I'll give you a couple of minutes because I do want to introduce Colby at the end here because he's new as well, but he's done a lot of stuff here with EXP in the community. But with you, one of the massive actions that you do, I just kind of want you to maybe give us a couple minutes on this, is your door knocking. So to give us a little bit about what kind of door knocking you do and how you felt that that's helped you get contacts and potential business in the future.
The kind of door knocking. So strategy speaking, I guess, what I've been doing is I've been going to areas that are townhomes, and I've had a pretty high turnover in the last 30 days because obviously I want to reach out to people that are either maybe wanting to upsize. Obviously, that's not their forever home. I've spoken to a few people. Some people obviously will rent there, but some are closer to buying than others. So that's kind of my strategy to obviously, I don't want to door knock aimlessly, obviously. I want to put myself in the best position to speak to qualified people, whether it's now or over the next however so months, and add them in my CRM.
Now, in some of the door knocking that you've been doing, so I love that you said high turnover. Where he's at in Florida, there's a lot of communities that have townhomes. The one that he is targeting right now has over 1,000 or so townhomes that has a very high turnover. So there's a purposeful door knocking that's being done in an area that has high turnover. And we've been talking daily, and he's been getting all of these contacts and putting them into a CRM that are for future follow-up. Our business is not a today business, right? What we work on today is going to pay off 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now. So, and he's doing 3 hours a day of 3 to 4 hours a day of door knocking. So
And
it's,
to add too, I think as long as, just like with anything else, as long as I stay consistent with it, I will run into that one off that's like, hey, I actually do want to list my house like next week. Like,
I love it. And that will happen, especially when you're in a place with high turnover. And I did touch on this earlier, but I'm going to say this right now. You called an expired that was mad, that didn't like the call. And you still, when you went out door knocking, decided to go by their house. That's what it takes, right? And that was a purposeful door knocking. They were expired, so you had a reason to go and talk to them. So, great job. You're doing the things like Raymond said earlier. If you have to do the uncomfortable things, or however that saying is, become comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? So great job, Tristan. So real quick, Raymond, a couple of minutes with you. What is something that you're doing that's a mass action right now that you could share with somebody, with a community here, that maybe they can be doing, whether that mass action is, 13 hours of training per day? What is it that you would want to share with the community that they could possibly use in helping their business?
Call it for sale by owners. A lot of those people, they don't know what they got, and you do. So a couple of my listings actually turned out to be really great deals. For example, one that I have up in Lowell right now, Lowell, I used to call it Lowell, but I've been corrected. It's called Lowell. So that area, when it was for sale by owner, the client had it listed at 1,400 square feet and 1.4 acre lot. And the tax record shows that it's a 672 square feet on 0.14 acre lot. So I came in and I said, look, this is how it is. And this is the price that we're going to price it. It's not up here. It's actually right around in here. And they were like, Ray, we're going to work with you. We love the way you talk to us. And I felt like a parent at that moment. Like, I'm not a parent, but I felt like a parent would. And the way that they were saying, we love how you talk to us. You tell us how it is straight across. You're very professional with us. You're very patient. And they did take a lot of time, almost a month to be exact. They had a lot of clutter. They said, what do we need to do to list this and to maybe do like the 2-part solution here? You sell our house, and we do XYZ. I said, if you do, the hardest part about selling a house is and the most expensive part about doing the house, as I know from doing my own fourplex renovation, is the labor. The labor is free if you do it yourself. If you have somebody else do it for you, that's the most expensive part. You go to a mechanic, the hardest part is the labor, or the most expensive part of the labor. It's not the part. The part is $10-15, but the labor is $150 an hour. So if somebody is selling their house and they're able to, I would say do the labor yourself. One of my other listings, I had said, let's clean up the clutter here and let's get that sawdust chip, that wood chip stuff that you put in the bedding for horses or chickens. Let's put that in the front to cover up a lot of the mud and rocks. So when people are walking through and showing, they don't get a bunch of mud on their shoes to get in and out of your house, out of your house or into their car. That turned out to be a great Photoshop for their property on the listing, because it really showed a really nice landscape. It opened up rather than just being a dark, heavy, spotted area. It showed a nice wood, bright color of the wood in the shading, so that helped. And also then when I contacted one of the other for sale by owners out in Port Orford, he's one of the directors for the Rotary Club who connected me with 7 other people who basically own all the founding land in Port Orford. So each one of them have massive, 200, 300, 500 acre lots and commercial sized buildings and residentials. And not only that, they also have friends and family relatives that they're promoting. Because one thing that they said was, Ray, one thing that we see in your aggressiveness is that you drove 2.5 hours to come and meet with me. I used to live in on the coast, so I know the coast pretty well. So it's not like I don't know that area. And so they said, you drove 2.5 hours to be here. I've driven back and forth to Port Orford 5 times now, met with 5 different people, and have listed all their properties at minimum 2 properties each person. And so with that being said, they said, one of the reasons why we don't want to work with other professionals in our area is because we have to crawl into their office and beg them to list our properties to sell. And for you reached out to us. You went the extra mile, literally, to list with us. And I said, well, that's just that. And I said, that's just part of being with EXP. That's what they show us to do. They show us to be that extra and above beyond type of agent for our clients. So not only that, going that extra mile where, you have to go out of your way and show your clients, hey, this is what I can offer. They're going to say, wow, this person obviously knows what else it's going to take to sell my property. So they see that dedication in you just in the small things. They're going to understand and expect the dedication in bigger things.
That, it's what I get from that. So what we had here, we had open houses, we have door knocking, and then for sale by owners. And guys, Ray didn't get lucky to get these people over there. He got on the phone, right? And he made the calls. And without doing that action, we wouldn't have this to share with everybody, right? So getting on there, calling the for sale by owners, 7 out of 10 for sale by owners are going to use an agent. It's probably going to take the second, third, or fourth call. So there's 3 things there. Now, I'm going to jump. We have a few minutes left, but Colby, I appreciate you being able to make it in here at the end. I know you had another obligation, but if you want to take a couple minutes, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you feel that being a part of the community and EXP has done for you and what it's doing for your business. That would be phenomenal, my friend.
Yeah, first off, EXP is the best thing ever. Start with that. Came from another brokerage, started out there. Yeah, typical. Yeah, we'll train you. Yeah, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. And I was a solo agent there. So they go, go get business. And I'd leave the office and go, well, okay, I don't know how, but sure. And so I did that for a while. I was kind of getting out of it, and Jason called me. Good timing. And he was like, hey, let's go get coffee. So we got coffee. He explained to me a little bit about EXP. It sounded good to me. So I joined over under Jason, and he showed me the community. He, everything that EXP has to offer. And man, was it game changing for me. I had done nothing at the previous brokerage. When I joined Jason's team, I was introduced to Jeff, and being in the weekly, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's meetings that you can join to get yourself, into the real estate game, get yourself remotivated, which has been super powerful for me. I've been doing a lot of circle dialing. The reason for that is I've kind of started to pick up a little traction and thought it brings marketing to my home that I'm selling, or not my home, but the home I'm selling. And Also, when you call someone and you say your name and they go, "Oh yeah, I've seen your sign," makes the phone call a little easier, right? So a reason for calling, they may even know who you are. You're putting yourself out there to go get that business. So
I appreciate that. And it's funny because, you know, there's kind of a theme here when Jason called me, right? So I'm not afraid to make these calls, but, you know, I met Colby and, you know, he said the same thing to me. He was told, okay, you're here. We're going to get training. Go ahead and go out there and get leads. And what the community has brought for him and what we've been doing with training is how to do those things, right? So, you know, the building that Colby is in right now, Joanne, because I see that you asked, is actually a $2.4 million listing that he's taking photos for right now. So, you know, Colby. Colby's got some listings going on. He's out there. He's solo agent now. So, and that's the goal with our team, to be able to help do what we can, get them dived in with the community and get them onto a solo agent and possibly build their team at some point. But we have 1 minute here. And I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up. I really hope that this was fruitful for us. I hope that there were some takeaways. The biggest thing I want to leave us with is, and this is something personal for me, is that sometimes we have to remember our first day on the job. And I have to take myself back there sometimes to say, you know what did I do when I first started? How excited was I to get out there and make that call? How excited was I to go do that open house? Because sometimes we get kind of lost in that, right? So just remembering, you know, our first day on the job and what it took and why we started doing this. Jeff, thank you for starting this community. Thank you for bringing us all in here. Raymond, Tristan, Colby, Alex, I appreciate you guys immensely for taking the time, sharing with us with what you're doing and what this has meant for you. So everybody, I really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great week. And guess what? We do this every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific